There's no cowardice left, is there? You know, when you walk out, there's no cowardice now like there was in the
There's the one you can say about Jackie Mind. That time it was a bad winter, he came to work on the horse.
He did.
And he put the horse in the power station to one side. He took it down across the ramp into the power station and took it round and kept it nice and dry for when he went home. He came on a horse and there was a feature made of it on the papers.
If you don't believe us, I've got a photograph of Jackie sitting outside the offices with his big, like, Davy Crockett hat on, sitting on his horse, and it was snowing like it was snowing this morning. And he's sitting outside the offices, and he used to come to work, and he used to call it the Joy Rovers. He lived at Epps Green along the back of Stony Heap, and he used to go home on his horse, and he used to stop at the Joy Rovers on the way home. And on many a time, his brother, George, used to find the horse in the yard, but no Jackie. And Jackie would be lying in the snowdrift down Stony Heap. He'd had that much to drink, he used to fall off the horse going home. But he was a well-known coward. Everybody knows who Jackie was.
Did that support from the works, did that kind of go into the community in terms of schools or youth clubs and things like that? Did they do other things that, you know,
I don't think it came down to school level. I think it was mostly when you were adult. That's when the Bonhomie was there, you know, like into departments. Schools, my dad works at such and such, didn't mean anything to us as kids. We just played our football and that, you know, school teams and things like that. Company didn't mean a great lot, not to us then. But when you got 16 plus,
your school they used to take schools in for, you know, bus load of kids to walk around the parade or something like that. But I don't think it went, as Freddie says, I don't think it went any further than that.
No. The big difference with the company was that when you left school, you knew you were guaranteed a job. Doesn't matter what it was. It could have been an apprenticeship. It may have been the officers. It might have been what they call it,
the operators.
Youth operators. You always knew you had a job, so the anxiety wasn't there. You know what I mean? But now, poor kids now are leaving school now and they haven't got a clue. They haven't got a clue.
You sat your O levels. You went for the interview. Then you sent your results in, and they told you what job you had.
It was either that or the civil service, wasn't it? Yeah, either went there or the Long Benton. There was used to have, from school you used to have, go down there for an exam if you wanted to.
Civil service,
I never bothered with that, like.
Well, there's one I'd like to hire in. You know the apprenticeship, you had to take an exam. I think I might have been one of the only ones who never ever took an exam, an entrance exam to get in. No, I went down, as you say, that they want to see your results and things like that. And I went down for an interview and I was earmarked to go in the lab. And I says, hang on, there's something wrong here. I says, I didn't put down for that. I says, I wanted to be in the engineering side of things. He says, wait, did you put that down? He says, have you sat the exam? I says, what exam? I didn't know it was an entry exam. Paisley and all them were going and sit in them. Nobody said out to me. Nobody told you at school you had to sit an entrance exam to get into the company if you wanted to be an apprentice or whatever. So in the end, they hummed and hard a bit, and I went down for an interview for the apprenticeship, and I got in that way. I didn't sit an entry. I didn't sit an entry exam.
I did an exam, mate.
Did you?
Oh, everybody had to sit the exam.
I was an electrician.
And when did you work from there? When did you start your apprenticeship?
1963.
Same as him, 1963. I was
63.
How
his memory?
I was in the drone office before that as an office boy.
Yeah.
And then I went in to be an apprentice, and my first choice was going to be a fitter. And as it happened, the electrical engineer was in the same office block as the drone office, and just before you had to make your mind up, he called us in. He says, what do you want to be? I says, I want to be a fitter or electrician. He says, no. He says, you want to be an electrician, then a fitter. So I changed my mind. It was the best decision ever made.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
You stayed an electrician?
Yeah.
We were always an electrician.
Well, it was mostly shift work, and I used to enjoy it.
What were the shifts? 2
till 10 night shift, 10 till 6. And I always remember, after when my wife or somebody said, everybody used to complain about the red dust out the steelworks. I said, it'll be a sorry day when the red dust's not there. And it's not there now, and you know, it's a sorry day.
Ever since.
I mean, they get on about people working shifts, like you're saying, with 6 to 2. You hear people now, like son-in-laws complaining about working this, that and the other. We used to work 7 when we first started. Before we went on continental shifts, used to work 7 6 to 2s. And then you went on the continental shifts, so you used to finish at 6 o'clock in the morning and go back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
2 to 3.
Just so you could get a long weekend off.
The other thing was that if your buddy didn't come in on the following shift, you had to stop a double shift.
You weren't allowed to go home.
If you got somebody like a drink on a Friday night and you were 10 on a Friday, it was a bad job, because Jenny ended up doing the Friday night shift as well.
If they didn't turn up.
If they didn't turn up, you had
Were you
to.
part of the maintenance squad?
Yeah. It was probably the same for production-wise as well, I think. But you were obliged to cover the first shift, and then obviously if you didn't come in the next one, it was up to management to sort somebody out like for that. But having said that, like, there's one night I was 2 till 10 on New Year's Eve, and the lad that was on the night shift like to go for a drink, so I says, oh well, I'll cover the night shift as well, so I volunteered to do the night shift as well as the 2 till 10. And by about 10 o'clock on the 2 till 10 shift, I was lying on the bench being sick with a bit of home brew. Don't mention my name or nothing.
People don't realise that it was 24/7, 365 days a year, regardless. And I mean, again, no names, but Fred knows who I'm talking about. He was 2 to 10 on New Year's Eve, and he was in a lead gate, and we used to do analysis of blast furnace metal and slag, and the furnace was on a reduced production over Christmas, New Year, but you had to be there when the samples arrived. So this lad phoned up on the hour, every hour from the pub, to find out when the next sample was coming. And they could tell him, it was arranged, and they could tell him. So when they said, yeah, there's going to be one, he phoned at 9 o'clock, there's going to be a sample at 10, he jumped on the bus and went into work and did the sample at 9 o'clock on New Year's Eve. But he was supposed to be 2 to 10, but he was on the phone in the pub in Red Gate, waiting to see what time the sample was coming along. Our friend, Mr.
Whose name shall be?
Oh, well, everybody knows who he is, but but somebody had to be night shift. You didn't, and you couldn't argue like they do now, saying, oh, I don't want to work New Year's Day, I don't want to work Boxing Day. If you were on the rota, you worked, and you had to work, there was no ifs or buts about it, you had to be there.